when one looks around the world and one sees that there is a need for human beings to live differently, that's really the foundation or the stratum on which one is doing this work.
A good education is one which does not limit itself to purely an acquisition of knowledge or a mastery of a skill even, but it really needs to allow for one to discover oneself.
And how you relate with each other. So I think that is the most important thing. I mean, how does one learn to read or write, I think is only secondary rather than, understanding each other and how you relate to each other and the space around you. I think that is particularly of life. So there is no division as such of education and life is what I feel here.
Because childhood, I strongly believe, is very, very important resource of any human being.
Teaching is not one way, and that I learned in the very first year, and it has to be a two-way process, not only in the most basic academic sense, but in also growing as an individual.
The possibility that Krishnamurti raised for humanity to say, can you live without violence? Can you live without fear? Now, these are fairly big questions.
And in this world, can we actually explore for ourselves? Is there something that can stand right in any situation? Is there something that can be good in any situation? So what is goodness? What is right?
I think when the children watch adults engaged in this kind of questioning and also bringing about changes, that's something that goes home.
First preference to class 2.
Class 2 sit.
Class 3 come and sit.
Yeah, all class 2 do not need
we'll just see. Asma, you can my father has this. Or sit in front.
Hey, you guys are kids audience. Huh? Hello. Hi.
The other benches, right? That lower one.
Some people can stand. Oh, you are sitting here already. You also want to go there?
No. This boy's lip will hurt.
Oh, that's fine.
Can I also sit with
You can, yeah. But then we need to just compress this.
No, that getting is all in. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think we should make any.
No action, no monkey. What about
can we tell cheese, Akka?
One moment. I usually shoot Segura's motorcycle there, Look photos of video.
Can't talk about anything normal. Okay, I'm just doing video till he's taking pictures.
I'm done.
Yeah. You're done? Okay, done. Thank you.
Just 11. Just 11. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Kindergarten 1.
Done, no?
Class 1 you all did 1 or you all did 2 pictures?
Many pictures.
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Class 1 the whole group?
No, separate. Teachers are to stand. It will be 40 otherwise.
Too much.
The art should allow one to understand himself or herself.
Art is not playing a role in an isolation. It is very much part of our society, people. Here we are not in a race to produce an artist, to get award and all this recognition and all this. Our role is to create an ambience to a child be innovative.
So when you see a tree, when you see it, you enjoy the beauty of it. When you draw it, you go a little deeper and understanding what it is, when you make clay, you understand what is the form, and you can actually travel into the flower. And the observation starts there. In sports especially, you're in the present all the time. It is immediate response you get. If you're angry and it's shown there. And when you're playing basketball, you're completely there. If you're not there, you cannot play that game, and you won't think about something what is happening outside. When someone is defending someone and then you make a move, you make a spectacular move, that won't come by teaching or something. And that is what I call it as creativity.
Music means coming together. You listen to your voice and also your next person's voice and you match without knowing that you are doing it. Singing is a good way to break ice, I would say. If all of us sing 3 songs together, that makes us all feel that we are ready for the day one and we have done something together. When I joined school, I was kind of putting it in a frame. But now what I do is I'll allow them to sing and then create a frame around it. So if now junior school, the 2-3 kids have come and told me, I have a song to sing, can you sing? You learn it from me, I'll teach. So I'm very excited about it.
I will sing.
In a sense, it's like raising a child, right? You're really worried about hair to clothes to pencils and homework and that kind of level of details. To also kind of language being used, the manner in which people interact with each other, whether somebody is afraid for a period of time, what happens to one's creative abilities, where do opportunities get created to enable these to surface, just care for their own body, eating the right food and having the right exercise, to the way they think and they behave and interact with each other. It's not the work of an individual. It's really the work of a group of adults working with a group of children. What you observe is one part, one slice of that child's life. And another teacher may see an entirely different aspect of the child which you have missed out. So I only see them as students in a mathematics class. I get a very limited idea of the student. The way they interact in the games field is entirely different. The way they are on a study trip is entirely different. Their other capacities may not come to the fore in your maths class. And hence you may end up having a very limited understanding of the child. In fact, you may even be judgmental of the child's abilities or their approach to something.
Everyone must have a relate with the child, which is beyond academics, which is beyond the regular thing. And that relate must be with a genuine interest and happiness in you as a human being.
That's probably one of the challenges that one faces throughout life. The fact that you are an individual and you are part of a group. And with very small children in kindergarten, they are still developmentally at a stage where it's all I, me, mine. They slowly grow into being part of a group. And I think our role here is to facilitate that. The snack time, children serve each other, they wait their turn, putting away things once you use them. That is common space. All the art material there is for everybody. And as they grew up, I think they have many other things like working together for the place. A lot of community-oriented work that they do, like the rota, cleaning up the classroom. Every class has their own rotational duties for keeping the class clean and in order. So, but there are these areas where your individuality kind of
can't, take over. This is the area where we try and spend a lot of time.
திருப்பி ஆயில பொரிச்சதா
அதுதான் காய வச்ச பிறகுதான் ஆயில பொரிக்கிறது.
We're trying to make Mullangi kofta. Mullangi, what happened? Arigi fight. We have enough, no? Make small this thing of cup. Because
வீடியோ எடுத்துட்டீங்க.
நீங்க எத்தனை வருஷமா இருக்கீங்க?
28. என்னன்னா?
28 பேர் சொன்னாங்க.
One very important pillar of learning, if I can call it that, are conversations that we have with students. Most of the time, these conversations take place in a non-contextual way. It's not addressing a problem as much as talking about things together. General topics like friendship or loyalty or what it means to be a boy or a girl. At the senior levels, for instance, to talk about things that are happening around the country, happening around the world, and to see how does one respond. So these conversation spaces are also places where children learn to listen to each other without immediately getting into a position of agreement or disagreement.
At the beginning of the year, we have these conversations where we talk about what we need to do as a group so that all of us feel happy about coming to this space. And everybody gets to say what they think would make the space happy for all of us together. And through that conversation comes the understanding that we have to watch out for each other. We have to care for each other, including the akkas in the environment, the annas in the environment, the trees, the insects. And I think those conversations continue through the months and years. And that internalizes in the children the need to be in a certain way when we work together as a group.
There is a possibility that children won't say things that you want to hear. Teachers' role here is to see the conversation move where there is joint inquiry. And so then if that is the intent, then children will not pretend or think of saying things that they feel, oh, that's the right thing to say, and I'm not going to say anything else.
Like children say that to your face. You're the worst akka I've ever come across. They say that straight to your face. And the resilience to not react, has taught me something. Because I keep saying, at least the child is saying that. I do not have to take it as the truth. And I do not have to get it mixed up with my ego of myself. The child is feeling that about me at this point, and at least the child is saying that to the face. So it's put aside. After that, you get the child talking. And when the child is talking after that, the child is telling you everything, and you have the child actually lending his hand and telling, help me, Akka. Doesn't say it in words, but there is. So one thing, I think, conversation, you need to be resilient.
And one thing which stands out in all the interactions is the honesty, the openness, and the trust that children have in coming up with things they'd like to talk to with their akkas or annas. And it also makes me very vulnerable in that sense with them, because both are at the same footing, whether we are examining a situation of conflict or just having a conversation about something that they enjoy doing.
Stamping now. Very good. Loudly.
I'm skinny, I ain't anorexic, but people don't believe when I just say so. Not malnourished, not deficient, but isn't that what you people meant? I don't starve myself to look this way, but I eat a lot just about every day. Not anorexic, must be bulimic. I'm fed up with this. Why are people so sick? I'm not your average GDP girl who everyone thinks is just gonna hurt. Eating disorders are no small jokes, just like alcohol, cigarettes, or drugs like coke. Stick, twig, or a person with a fat. I'm sick of being known as that. Skinny shaming, fat shaming, all of it exists. You all now finally get the gist. You don't know my story, so please don't judge. Let's go see who can eat more farts. I could probably be at it, but who would dare? I'm just a skinny girl who just don't care.
If one wants children to be authentic, one doesn't give them the answer, but one gives them the tools and the way through which they can arrive at the answer.
We are all going to, work together or find out together or do something together. I think that's the focus, rather than saying, I'm here and I execute something with all of you and, you take it.
Most often, the same teacher teaches the basic 3 subjects, English, math, and science. And science is a combination of social studies and science. So this gives a very good opportunity to, show the relatedness between the topics and not box them as different subjects. And whatever we introduce, for example, if we introduce directions as a topic in science, is it science, or can we make it geography also? So we include maps and studying about the world maps, studying about continents, studying about the directions. And then we also introduce language, the position words. So which direction, where a particular object is placed, and sentences are formed based on the position words. And we go out in nature, we find out which side we see the sun in the morning, which side is the sun seen in the evening. In the clay period, they might make a compass, say a shape of India with clay. So any topic is used as a basis to explore it in its full potential.
I met a writer on a tram in Istanbul. She got me thinking. Writers recognize others of their kind. We have a thread in common, something that resonates. We spend our lives creating stories,
giving life to words and seeing where that takes us. This is the only art we know. And what can we do but write? We yearn to make society think. Admissible or not, they decide. Acceptable or not, they decide. Art or not, they decide. Directors, writers, artists, we're all just the same. We want to be heard. But even before we speak, we're told what we shouldn't say. What is truth? What is treachery? What is touching? What is taboo? I met a writer on a tram in Istanbul. She had only one crime. She wrote.
It's been fascinating to watch them in a completely different light. For instance, in one year, both my co-teacher and I, we used to think of one child as being very passive and laid back. We used to chat with each other feeling a little dissatisfied and saying, why is she like this? I mean, she's capable of so much more. And on the trip, she took complete charge. She was literally leading the children wherever she was. And that's something we would never have got a sense of if we hadn't taken her on the trip. That's just one example. So it allows one to see children in a completely different light. And it allows children to learn something also in a completely different manner. There's one of the trips that I usually go on, that's the history trip. There's this child who was always almost on the point of sleeping in the class. And I remember very often being his history teacher and saying, why are you so sleeping? He used to make the effort to keep himself awake in class. And then on the trip, he was so bright and so chirpy and so active. And he said that if you taught me history in this manner, I'd probably learn a lot more. So there are children who are very observant, and if you allow them to grow in their observation, the skills of observation, they really do shift that way.
Third announcement, I won't make, someone else.
So some of my classes know that I'm on a holiday next week, and so is Samrina class. We are going to Mumbai for a week. That's not the announcement. we are going to Mumbai to get married the next Thursday, which is the 4th of August. And nothing really changes, is that when you see us next time on Monday, we will be married. And we wanted to share it all with you before we went there.
So, Shishil and Sandy, all the best, all of us at school. They are not sure what impact it will have on junior school, whether they will understand, so they are not ready. But from all the teachers and students of junior school and all of us here, the very, very best.
The way one works it for oneself is the way one works it for others too. See the limitations or how fear tends to crowd you or tends to suppress you from doing what you really want to do and just see what is behind this. One often sees a fear is based on conditioning or a certain sense of belief that doing something otherwise is risk.
When somebody says I'm afraid or somebody says I'm bored, it's really that you've not understood what's happening and you haven't found a way to engage with it. And in the absence of that engagement, that disconnection is what is being called fear or being called boredom. So one is I could go at it saying, no, there's nothing here to be afraid of. Or I could say, no, this is very interesting. Or I find a way to see where the child is, wherever they are, and to see if clarity can begin to come into the child's thinking, wherever they are, whatever position they are. And once the child begins to, I think, experience clarity, some of this seems to dissolve.
How do we identify fear? Fear can only be seen in manifestations, right? Like if you find that a child is lying, for example, is it an indicator of a fear? Constantly shying away from doing something, is that an indicator of fear? I guess the challenge for us is to be working in areas like this, is to be identify a certain indicator of fear.
If I see that fear is a problem for me, then all the time I'm trying to fix it and I'm not understanding the fear. So it's always towards a result, and I sometimes think, oh, I've solved it, but it'll pop up again. So I understand through the long years with working with myself and with people around me that it is there in all of us, it is there around us. But the more you see and get aware of its presence in your life and how much it governs your actions, I think in the seeing there is some kind of breaking off that.
What you do here, it will reflect on the stage. So do your best here. Let's do that one. Here and then
युवराज तत्र पश्य वसन्ते स आनन्दे कुसुमित लताभिः परिवृते स्फुरन् नाना पद्मे सरसि कलहं साली सुभगे
त्वं सत्यं वदसि अति सुन्दरम् एतद् दर्शनम्
and is the sound of his word that is carried from the Buddha as a person. We brought Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
The way you address it, or the way you try to understand the situation, is asking them, can you tell what exactly happened? And I usually, my approach has been, if there are 2 or 3 people involved, ask each of them what they have to say. And then if there is a difference in what one is saying, this is what this person is saying, but you're saying it differently, what exactly happened? So when you ask them, they themselves say, no, Akka, it was this way, he's saying it like this or putting it like this. Or for example, that child might say, I didn't mean to do it, this is what I meant. So then that also helps when you say, I only meant to tap or harm, but it felt that the push was more. So for you, it was a tap, but for that other child, he felt it as a push. So maybe you didn't realize how hard that was, So those kind of things is what, helps than saying you did this, you shouldn't have done this, So approach and get what exactly happened is actually helps, and they themselves kind of resolve it when you do that. You don't have to even say anything, is what I have seen.
So instead of telling the child, why are you mischievous? See, the rest of the class is quiet and you're the only one who's making noise, which means that you're telling the child, role model. What we talk to the child is, where is this mischievous coming? What is this restlessness in you? Can we see it together? Is it outside of you or it's inside of you? And then most often children say how it's outside of them. And then help the child see that even I'm seeing that restlessness, but there's something inside you which wants that. So you're grabbing it. So can we watch that together? And when we say watch it together, in a way that the child doesn't feel condemned or put down, or the teacher scolding him, but saying, it happens to me too. Some things excite me. And I grab for it. And that causes a certain difficulty in group setting. So let's see, what is it? And we don't ask the child for an answer, but every time you tell the child to watch it, look at it in yourself, I think we give the child as well as ourselves an opportunity to understand what one is about.
In a conversation, what are some things that can actually end up as a residue? What are some things that can end up as a scar? So a few things that I have learned, can there not be any blame? Can there be a certain dignity, even if I have to fire you? Can both parties, can they get up with their dignity intact? Not get them to feel bad about what they did, but to be able to look at what they did. Beyond everything else, if there is no motive for me in that conversation, I guess that will come through, and one has to translate the fact that I really don't have a motive, except for the fact that I care for you and there is affection.
I come to school to interact with different kinds of people, and it's a peaceful place. So
I like being with my friends. I like talking to them. I especially enjoy English because I get to write poems. I feel that I can be very open with my teachers and I can talk to them about things when I feel something's going wrong.
A school is like a second home. You can learn different things that you don't learn at your own house. Basic skills that will come through not by teaching but by looking at somebody else and learning.
I'm not worried that much about exams, and I think learning is more important. As far as I'm doing that, it's fine.
A teacher is somebody who can inspire you, who sets you on the right path when you're thinking about your future to do different things that you think you will excel at.
Well, I think we come to school to learn and to play with our friends.
Nature is important to us because it gives us oxygen. I like birds because they're free and it's nice to watch them fly.
Main challenge is, I think it's understanding myself. Growing up and like having a good foothold on what you want and, not to get swayed by what's happening, to know what's right, to know what's wrong, to decide what's true for yourself. I think that's the most important thing.
I think music is a language just like any other, whether it's English, German. Jazz is popularly known to have been brought out where you have a group of people and they just sat down and they played. They don't know how to converse in any other language, but then they brought that out by playing. And I think that's what's so beautiful about music.
It's actually been a chant which we did in assembly. It's been constantly running through my head. It's a Latin chant. Victime pascali laudes, emolent Christiani, ad nos redemito hoves, Christos innocens patri.
I enjoy dancing. Without words, you can express something just by using your body and music to go with it.
People at this age tend to judge each other a lot, and I've seen myself also judging a lot of people. You should condition your mind so that maybe you don't judge someone that much. And you may think of the person a little differently than what they actually are, and it might not be a good thing. Yeah, I guess the fear to lose friends and to kind of lose those connections you have with them because we have a different point of view about certain things and we seem to have disagreements about them, so we tend to drift apart.
I like playing basketball. Sometimes if I'm stressed out, it just calms my mind, and it's a team sport and I like working in a team, and it's easy to communicate with your team members and it builds your cooperation skills.
We should let go, because if you're gonna keep thinking about something bad that's happened, then you're never gonna move on and
just realize that it's not all about only the bad stuff. And there's also a lot of nice things that happen.
I think the key is not to look at as a destination that you're going to reach, but you just discover things every day. So when you never have the pressure that you're going to reach that place one day, you don't feel that afraid.
Whatever it is, you should be strong and fearless and passionate about what you do, and you should never give up.
Okay, yeah, he's gonna do it.
Okay.
Whoa!
Okay.
Some things are intangibles here where you cannot point out actually and say this is what the child learned out of it. I think at some point of time the child might connect the dots and say maybe this is what this did to him. You know, I mean, also being with nature, you cannot exactly point out what it does to you in, you know, saying this is what I learned. But I think over a period of time, when alumni come back, I think they have some connection with the thing. Maybe this is what, you know, I'm like this today because probably of those things. So that's what I feel. So largely these activities are to slow down, work with each other, listening to instructions, following some things and all that. Though those are small things, I think they have a larger, you know, impact on children.
About 3-4 years ago, somebody had taught way back in, I don't know, in 2001 or 2002, and he came and in fact, I don't even remember this particular instance that he spoke of. He said, Anna, you remember you taught me, you know, you helped me with my English during that one stage in my class 6. I don't really have a memory of it, but for some reason, whatever I did at that point of time seems to have had a deep impact on him. So it's quite incredible what your teaching work can do in the long term of a child. And so I think to look for immediate results is self-defeating. I don't think there's much point in that. And with the understanding that you're working with human beings and you will impact them one way or the other, and hopefully more positive than negative is one's hope. And so you work with that.
Okay. Pretty cool. Not leaving?
हर देश में तू हर वेश में तू तेरे नाम अनेक तू एक ही है तेरी रंग भूमि यह विश्व भरा सब खेल में मेल में तू ही तू है सागर से उठा